This video is an attempt to prepare a 15-week study plan for FRM Part 1. It is not a very good strategy to prepare for the exam one module at a time, because there are some concepts which are used in an earlier topic but discussed in detail in a later topic and maybe in another module as well. So this makes your preparation a bit unsmooth, especially for candidates who lack professional experience or relevant academic experience. Now, this study plan has been structured after very careful analysis, and the topics have been sorted so that you get the best possible sequence, so that the topics are systematically linked on top of each other. Apart from that, related theory parts have been bundled together and some unrelated theory portions have been scattered here and there, so as to get a good blend of theoretical as well as numerical based topics. This is a 15-week plan just to complete the course for the first time. Apart from this, you also need at least 3 to 4 weeks of revision. Now, for each part of FRM, if you really want to learn the concepts properly and pass the exam with excellent quartiles, you should devote a minimum of 600 hours for each part. Now, this might sound very overwhelming to you, because in different forums you might have seen that anywhere between 150 and 300 hours is written. Even we have had candidates in our institute who have cracked the exam by studying only for around 200 hours, 250 hours. But FRM is an exam which can be unpredictable at times. So that's why you need to solve a good range of questions to be very well prepared. So 600 hours if you really want to be confident to crack the exam with excellent quartiles. Now, this has happened a number of times in these last few years that many candidates report that they fell short of time while writing the exam when I take the feedback from them after the exam. And this happens with even the best prepared candidates. 80 questions in 4 hours. That does not seem that much, but still short of time. So definitely the amount of work, the amount of effort that has to be put in for this exam is not to be underestimated. Now, this is the key used to represent the 4 modules. FRM stands for Foundations of Risk Management, of course. QTA is for Quantitative Analysis. FMP is for Financial Markets and Products. VRM is for Valuation and Risk Models. And this study plan is based on the current syllabus, the 2020 syllabus of the GARP curriculum. Now, in week 1, you start with fundamentals of probability, then random variables and common univariate random variables. So you get a good basic idea of probability and statistics. Continuing with that, you do multivariate random variables, then sample moments, and then hypothesis testing. After that, all the chapters related to linear regression. And then we switch to CAPM, because the quantitative aspect of beta is introduced in linear regression only. Okay, beta can be understood using regression concepts. And then the application part of beta is present in the capital asset pricing model to some extent. So we do the CAPM and the arbitrage pricing theory and multi-factor models, the 2 chapters of Foundations of Risk Management, and then we again come back to quantitative methods. We do stationary time series and non-stationary time series. Then we start Introduction to Derivatives. So after Introduction to Derivatives, exchanges, then central clearing, then Properties of Interest Rates Part 1. Now, when you do futures markets, a lot of concepts of interest rates are used in futures markets, in their valuation, etc. So it's important that you have a good idea of properties of interest rates beforehand. So before doing futures markets, you should definitely do properties of interest rates. Just give it a reading and then you can do futures markets. Then using futures for hedging foreign exchange markets, pricing financial forwards and futures, then commodity forwards and futures. Again, these are highly related topics. Okay, then you do in properties of interest rates once again in detail completely, because a lot of properties of interest rates will be used in pricing conventions of bonds, bond valuation concepts, which are covered in these chapters now. Pricing conventions, discounting and arbitrage. So immediately after FMP 16, you go to VRM 9, then VRM 10 interest rates, and then VRM 11 bond yields and return calculations. Then you go for applying duration, convexity and DV01. After that, non-parallel term structure shifts and hedging. Then some theoretical topics, corporate bonds, mortgage and mortgage-backed securities, and then anatomy of the great financial crisis. Because mortgages and mortgage-backed securities can be related to the anatomy of the great financial crisis to some extent. Then interest rate futures, swaps, and then the topic which was left in quant, QTA 13, simulation and bootstrapping, and then a theoretical topic, banks. Then options markets, properties of options, trading strategies and exotic options. After that, binomial trees, the Blasch-Scholes-Merton model and option sensitivity measures, which are the Greeks. So all these are option related topics. Then a chapter of quant, measuring returns, volatility and correlation, because again this chapter is related to the quantifying volatility in risk models, which is covered in these chapters, the VRM chapters, VRM 1, VRM 2 and VRM 3, measures of financial risk, calculating and applying VAR, and then measuring and monitoring volatility. Then we go to the foundations of risk management module, the building blocks of risk management, how do firms manage financial risk, governance of risk management, credit risk transfer mechanisms, and then a chapter from valuation and risk models, which is measuring credit risk. Then we go to external and internal credit ratings, then country risk, operational risk, stress testing, risk data aggregation and reporting principles. And finally, in the last week, the theoretical topics from the foundations of risk management module and the financial markets and products module. So enterprise risk management, financial disasters lessons, code of conduct, insurance companies, pension plans, and finally fund management. Okay, this is the sequence that is recommended from our side if you want to prepare for the FRM Part 1 exam in a very efficient way. Apart from that, as I said, after you complete the course once, you should definitely have at least 3 to 4 weeks of revision time. Also, please be careful that you pay equal attention to the theory part as well, because over the last few years, the amount of theory questions in the exam has increased. Okay. In the last couple of years, I've heard this from a lot of candidates that the number of theory questions were higher than expected. Whether it was on the May 2018 exam or November 2018 exam, or even last year, May 2019, November 2019. Many of the candidates said this. And some candidates also said that the questions were longer as compared to the questions that they had practiced. So it took a lot of time to read and understand the questions. So time management becomes extremely important while writing the paper. It's quite natural to get exhausted because it's a 4-hour long exam. And of course, this may lead to lower levels of efficiency during the final hour especially. So it's important not to waste too much time on a single question. And in these upcoming weeks, when you start to prepare for the exam, you have to practice time management as well. You have to practice sitting for long hours. Most of you are working professionals, you don't get time during weekdays, but on weekends try to sit for long hours so that you can build a temperament of sitting for long hours over a period of time. Because if suddenly you do it on the exam day, it is going to be a bit challenging. So you have to develop that habit beforehand. Also, the efficient use of the BA2 plus calculator becomes extremely important in the FRM exam, because it will definitely save a precious few seconds in almost every question which requires the usage of the calculator. So it's important that you become very well versed with all the key functionalities of the calculator, as even the most complex of calculations can be performed within seconds using the tools which are there in the BA2 plus calculator. So please practice very hard. Now, one difference between FRM and CFA I want to point out based on my personal experience is that in CFA, just completing the entire course and solving the question from the official institute material gives you a very good chance of cracking the exam. But FRM is an exam which demands more practice. So ensure that you are able to solve 1500 to 2000 questions in the course of your preparation. The link to the study plan is given in the description of this video and you can download it from there. Please feel free to WhatsApp us or contact us through our website for any kind of queries. Thank you.